Okay, finally got that working. Somehow my computer manages to find a way to shit the bed right as soon as I'm about to try and get all this going. Actually, I think I need a little bit of light in here. Okay. Hi, anybody who's watching. Just back working on some drawing again. If you guys tuned in before, I've been working on this just this old sketch of mine that seemed very thematically appropriate, and then I dug up out of an old sketchbook, and that was a few characters from my comic setting that is in development that are kind of in the sick bay, and I just looked at it and thought this seems about right for how we're doing right now. Everything's all locked down, and yeah, so I've just been in the inking phase and working on some background. Probably gonna finish up the inking tonight, and then who knows, maybe get onto some color. As you can see, we're getting almost done there. We got our characters pretty much good to go. Got some background assets filling in, and I'm gonna keep working on that. I also have my Discord channel open, which if you are on my Facebook friends, you can feel free to follow the link to my Discord channel, hop on the live stream voice chat, and shoot the shit with me while we're hanging out. I'm really kind of just doing this to try and, I don't know, just get a little more human outreach, give us all some some social options, some things to do, people to talk to. I think we're all feeling, and if you're not feeling cooped up yet, you are bound to be soon. And I work from home most of the time, so I'm fairly well used to it at this point, but it's nice to talk to people. I call my friends all the time just to try and get a little more human interaction. Find that having a nice phone call sometimes feels like a forgotten art form. So I try to make a lot of effort to talk to my friends on the phone, and if not in person. Since it looked like I tried to sketch a few old musty books piled up in this room. This is, I think, if I recall, this is like the medical. Well, actually, no, it's not the med bay. I think it's the closest thing to a medical professional on the caravan. Excuse me. And this is her room. And so she's just kind of like taking care of everybody who's come down with like some kind of nasty fever. And she has all these books and trunks filled with her research and doodads. And everybody's just kind of making themselves at home. Yeah, so, and meanwhile, so she's kind of doing the examining while also being sick herself. Let's see, what did I have going on under this desk over here? Oh no. Oh, that's right, we got these cool little, like, some canisters. Who knows what's inside of there? Probably like very delicate parchments, things that need to be transported in a rolled up form, but have some kind of like research or information on them that maybe are not so easily described. Oh, looks like somebody just popped into the Discord chat, I think. Let's see here. Who's in that chat? Hello? Thought I heard somebody. Oh, that's alright. Maybe, oh, I got an alert about Discord alerts. Notifications may include alert sounds and icon badges. Cool. Allow. That's good, I guess. Seem to have a notification from somebody. Oh, is it a... Oh, it's a a pending request. Nice. Alright. Is that Justin Johnson, Taco Nightmare? Approved. Alright. Anyway, carrying on. Yeah, so... Oh, hello. Hey, it's my cousin Ryan. You want to go bowling? Oh, am I muted still? Oops. There we go. How about now? Can you hear me? How's it going, cousin? Oh, yeah, no, it's... I don't know what it is about streams that, you know, wanna... YouTube streams always kind of, present themselves like 30 seconds late or so. Not sure what it is about that, but I might recommend probably muting my actual stream since you're now talking to me in real time. Interesting. Yeah, you know, I think the other thing is that I'm not actually looking at that live stream chat window, so every time there's a pop-up in the chat channel, it doesn't actually, I don't notice it because it fades away in like 10 seconds because I have the settings on that really short. But I should keep that chat window open, so, oh, I can see your message that says you were very quiet. Interesting. I thought I pumped up my microphone volume. It might just be a matter of me talking really quiet. Let's see here. I mean, it is all like right up in my business, I have to say. But you know, who knows? Yeah. So how's it going? How's life in the frigid north of Canada? Oh yeah. Yeah, how are you guys faring through all this isolation and the quarantine 2020? Oh, you should get Miriam to tune into my live streams since I'm doing art and all that. Well, I won't push it on her. I'm sure she's got plenty to keep her interested on her iPad. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, how long has her school been shut now? Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, my God. Wow. Yeah, they just closed all the schools in New York City for like at least a month. So Freya is gonna be just home for, you know, with mom, running around the apartment for ever. Hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think mom's kind of trying to figure out what she's gonna do with Freya for an entire month. But I did have a nice dinner with them. Just the other day they came over. We were all very careful to wash our hands and all that. But they came over. I cooked some stir fry for everybody. We rewatched Frozen 2, so I actually got to really see the whole thing this time. So that was nice, and I gotta say, Frozen 2, pretty good movie. Really? Yeah, no, no, it was pretty nice. I mean, like the water visuals were really something else. Like with they had like this water horse that was running around, and that was like I was like in the middle of cooking, and she like paused the movie and rewound, and she's like, no, no, you have to see this part. And I was like, you know what, you were right. It was really cool. Apparently, Freya's grandfather was like, he went to go see it with them in theaters when they were visiting in what is it, Illinois, I think. Um, and he hasn't seen like animated movies in probably 30 years or something, and like he's not really into that, and but so he was just like apparently watching this with a total jaw agape, just like could not even believe what he was seeing. Which, I mean, can you imagine not seeing like how far computer animation has come in, I mean, essentially our entire lifetimes, and then seeing something like that for the first time? Oh no, not at all. But even still, yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, it is. Yeah, I mean, I keep wondering, like, how much better can 3D art look, right? Like, how much better, how much more gorgeous and realistic or past realism can we continue to render graphics? When are we gonna hit that sort of like point of like, that's it, this is as good as graphics get? Right. Like, what does better than real look like? I guess that's true. Yeah. Like, can we create a some kind of graphics engine that is rendering more mathematical detail? It's rendering more molecular structure and all that. Obviously we would need some crazy powerful computers, but can you surpass reality in the sheer amount of information that's being rendered? I guess that's true. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like, we already can like create files and things that can like visually zoom into detail that our human eyes don't normally capture anyway. Right. Yeah, true. But yeah, like, will we have like 10, 20, 30 years from now, like, will Final Fantasies be like, this is now not just gorgeous and like obviously has like beautiful renderings and is super stylized, but like is not just realistic but beyond that? I don't know. Yeah. Right, where it's now what's really interesting is like that makes me think about the possible like political intrigue of that. Like think about like spy movies and stuff, or like the start of Inception, right, where they're like interrogating the guy by going through his dreams, but then he realizes he's in a dream. Will we eventually have that with VR, where like you throw someone into a VR rig and they don't even realize they're in one until they snap out of it? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where they trick him into thinking like he's in his office, but it's actually a simulated version of his office. Yeah, no, that's true. That's definitely, that concept's been done. It's, I mean, God, it's crazy to think about that possibility. Of course, I mean, we all have to be alive, for that to happen as well. So who knows? But Right. Mm-hmm. Some sort of virus. Who knows which one, but some sort of. Definitely is feeling a little like I'm by no means a pessimist. I don't think, but it definitely is like we're in this weird stage that feels like a big turning point in history. That's gonna like, this feels like it's gonna very much impact and define a lot of the world to come. This moment in time, in terms of just I don't know, it's we're like if you're a time traveler, this feels like this is kind of like a crux in history a little bit. You know what I mean? Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean that's I mean I think we're already seeing a lot of the economic impact. Just in terms of, I mean, I know for certain, like Coney Island, where I do, stage managing in the summer, like our whole season is going to be totally messed up. I mean, that whole neighborhood, like they're like half the industries there, all depend so heavily on seasonal traffic and tourism and uh, yeah, exactly. And it's like even if we were to kind of like resolve, like even if there was a vaccine out now and things were on the mend, I think the lasting impact on this season at Coney Island is already like the damage has already kind of been done. But it's, I mean, it's just sort of it is what it is at this point. We just the important thing is we all have to like stand together as much as possible and do what we can to survive and take care of each other. And it's at this point there's not really any like avoiding the damage that the coronavirus is going to cause. Like it's out, it's not contained. But I think what can be done is like you know I mean they keep talking about like limiting the curve and or reducing the curve. I can't remember, but like there's obviously a lot of like preventative stuff that flattening. There it is, flattening the curve. Yeah, but anyway, I don't want. I don't. We all know about coronavirus. We don't need to be sitting around talking about how bad or good it might be. Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Working, just working on these tedious little windows. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's these three. I think in the end are gonna match. I was just re ended up. I've been refocusing on this first one because I earlier I had that same thought where I'm like, you know what? I think I am just gonna end up copy pasting these, and then maybe doing like some modifications. But I don't know why I was jumping around and kind of half finishing both of them before. But yeah, copy pasting is like a very handy tool set for things like this, where it is really there's not really any significant differences. Sometimes too much copy pasting can be a little bit of an eyesore, because it you can really tell if there's like too much of it in a scene. But I think I can definitely get away with it here, and then just do detailing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like in this environment, I definitely like to do a lot of like, you know, trying to make a lot of like hand-built sort of stuff. Like it's all like these metal constructions and, you know, all the objects in their space, like you know, maybe were like some of them were mass-produced in a faraway land and, you know, have kind of made it here through trade and commerce, but you know, these guys are kind of out in like the outlands, you know, in between, like in these large stretches of you know, like, oops, didn't do that right. Hang on. Meant to do copy paste. Oh, you know, now I can just duplicate. Yeah, so like these guys are on a caravan and they're kind of traveling between, you know, between settlements and civilizations. So they're like, you know, going through these large stretches of, you know, just you know, uninhabited landscape and, you know, transporting goods and, or, you know, whatever kind of cargo they've happened upon. And, yeah, so, you know, like lots of just really like hand crafted stuff, or like things that were you know, maybe were nice once, but it got fixed and now they're a little dingier. Oops. Sometimes Procreate will like misread like my palm as 2 touches or something and jump around a lot. Yeah, yep. So yeah, now I can merge these layers back together. They're all on one layer again. So now I have this nice window layer. And, you know, maybe... Oh, so that's all on its own layer. So I can just do like that. And so now I have, you know, this is all the stuff that I've actually drawn. I guess you're probably a little behind in the stream, but yeah, I have the background on a separate layer, and that way, you know, I just can use it as a reference, and I can always kind of like jump back into using it, but it's not at all connected to the inking work that I'm doing on the layer above. And usually I end up working with a number of, you know, layers for different like kind of parts of a scene, because it just gives you a lot more flexibility for, you know, moving stuff around, you know, erasing parts without damaging others, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I wouldn't really bother with that. Like you know, it doesn't really make sense to destroy your reference layer, because you can always just turn it off, you know, the whole thing at once. And it's nice to be able to kind of like refer back, see the whole image. Procreate and most, you know, art apps like this have like a way of isolating a layer, so you can just, you know, with a holding onto the visibility button, I can just look at that one layer. Or if I want, I can just, you know, look at the windows on their own, or, you know, any layer that I've isolated, I can just kind of, like, take a quick peek at. And, yeah, so it doesn't really, there's never really much of a point to, like, destroying. I mean, I could mask it if I really felt like it, you know, without doing permanent damage. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to do was take all of my layers here, and I think what I'm going to do is just scooch these a little down. I think I hear some of my other cousins in the background. Oh, or your headphones are isolating it. That's funny. Alright, we're going to turn magnetics on so we don't drift. Oh, I'll get that. I'll get there eventually, I'm sure. It's funny, you can actually see kind of like bits of, you know, whatever the background. I think it was maybe a table or my bed sheets that this notebook was on when I took the picture. But yes, I'm going to cheat everything down a little bit, because then I'm going to have some, you know, speech bubbles that are going to go way up top here. so let's see. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so it was, we have like one bubble from Veery, and then we had another bubble. You know, I actually don't think I have settled. These characters show up a lot later in the comic, and so I haven't ever really settled on names for them just yet. But I'm sure it'll come to me eventually. I think I had like a running list of names for her who's examining Veery with the tongue depressor. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you this: I am incredibly, incredibly lucky to have digital work that is largely involves social media, and uh, you know, even if I think the Brain Pop office were to go all remote, or, even like close down work for a while, I think there would still have to be social media posts going. Like, we wouldn't just be halting all of our social media campaigns. So I'm one of the lucky few who get to say, I have thankfully not lost really like any of my work. So I'm still pretty much working my regular weekly schedule, and but yeah, even with that, I'm not working full-time hours, and I do have a lot of time to be working on other projects like this. And I've actually been doing quite a bit of getting back into drawing the first chapter and painting it, and I'm working with a new friend of mine who has been who is helping me out with figuring out how to get some of like the animations to display properly on the web, which is really exciting. But yeah, no, I do have the short answer is yes. I do have a lot more extra time to sit around and draw now, so not the worst thing in the world, although terrible circumstances for it. Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah. Oops. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm really trying to kick myself into gear to actually, get more of it done. And I think I might start doing some streams of just working on that rather than, working on these, kind of side illustrations, and that'll just be more excuse to actually keep working on it as well. But yeah, it's like, even if a single, like, no more than two people, which I think is, oh yeah, we have two concurrent viewers. Even if no more than two people ever tune in, I think it's still kind of a fun thing to do, and just helps encourage me to get some drawing done as well. Um, that's true. Oh, I can hear Milo in the background. Yeah, shout out to the noisiest dog I've ever met in my goddamn life. I can't. I ran all the way back from your house to the United States, and still he haunts me. What was this? This is like. He is a very sweet boy when he's quiet. Yeah. The lying down on me, I like. It's like when, like, I remember when I was like sitting and babysitting Freya, and you guys, everybody was kind of out and about. there was, you know, he was just sitting for like maybe 40 minutes just on my lap, but the whole time, like, he didn't move, but the whole time he was just staring at the door nervously. He was like, somebody's coming from the door. I can sense it. That is a weird mix. But that like weird like high strung like anxious energy of a Jack Russell. Right. Yeah, he just kind of like has a switch where he just flips back and forth. Oh, so you're not going to be tuning in later for joining us on Mario Kart, right? Have Have you already used your 7-day free trial of online? Oh, okay. I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess I never used my 7-day trial, so I activated that, and then when that expires, I think I get the free month from Animal Crossing, which holy, I just purchased it on the e-store. Yeah, yeah, I got an email from it already. Yeah, and then yeah, so I'll get like the 7-day free trial from just like signing up for the first time. Then I've got the free month from Animal Crossing, and I think that was it. I thought there was maybe one more that I was forgetting, but yeah, no. Really, you think one month of Animal Crossing and you're gonna be good? Wow, I see, Ryan. You're only interested in me for my exotic fruits. Wow, wow. I see. Family just means nothing to you, huh? Really, really cherry picking here. I don't know, man. I'm planning on making. It's true. I mean, I'm planning on trying to keep things interesting by going to people's islands and leaving spooky hidden secrets. That's true. Yeah, but you're in Canada. Yeah, I'm super excited for this game, man. I don't think I've been this excited for a game in like at least a good year or two. I'm trying to think what the last game I was this pumped for was. It must have been, I don't know, like maybe Spider-Man? No, I don't think I was like that excited for Spider-Man. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. When was the last time I was this pumped for a game? It's really hard to say. I mean, certainly the Nintendo Switch is probably Breath of the Wild, I would say. If I, yeah. Well, but it was also right when the Switch was launching. In fact, I got a Switch because I didn't have a Wii U. I got a Switch to play Breath of the Wild. I got like the bundle just so that I would be able to. Oh, but you had a Wii U, right? No, it was kind of a weird intermediary. It's like they sort of like... It was basically the halfway point between a Wii and a Switch. Yeah. But you could still play, like, could you play regular, like, standard Wii games on the Wii U? Okay, so it was backwards. Right. Yeah, no, it was basically just like a somewhat of an upgrade, but it wasn't like an entirely new console necessarily. Sure, yeah. Boy, how is it that your mic is picking up Milo? Because that's like kind of crazy. Oh my god. Wow. I mean, I can't decide if that's like, I mean, I guess it's just it has zero, like, background noise reduction, right? Interesting. Fascinating. I mean, at least I can hear you clearly, so there's that. I bet you could probably, if you just got like a little bit of foam or like an egg carton, you know, and kind of like put it, like made a little half box around your microphone, that would probably... Yeah, like it's, well, because I've heard that it like works as a really good kind of like DIY, like, you know, recording studio hack. Like, you just make kind of a small, if you can't make like a big whole, like, you know, noise dome around yourself, just make one around your microphone. Oh yeah. I suppose that would have been pretty cool. But hey, you know. Oh yeah. No, you just make like a little enclosure for the mic and you're good to go. Oops. There you go. Yeah, I've been meaning to do that one of these days for my snowball microphone, which, like, I gotta say, it's not, you know, like, you wouldn't want to, like, record an album or anything on this microphone, but it has served me very well in, you know, in the years since I got it. I don't think your skills have anything to do with how good the, like, you know, recording audio of your microphone is. Right, right. Oh yeah, sure. I mean, look, if you want to spend, look, I'm not gonna even pretend to know to act like I know enough about, you know, production, editing, and all that to say one way or the other whether you could fix, you know, a bad microphone's audio with post production. But maybe. I mean, that's possible, but it's also like, can you create something from nothingness, right? Like, if there's just bad quality recording, if it's just bad quality recording that, you know, is missing information, right? All right. Hmm. That's a good point. It can definitely simulate, like, pretty much what would be there if, it, you know, yeah. No, like, certain. Right. And then your post production recording studio will eventually, you know, become smarter than you are, and, you know, I don't know, like, want to take over and destroy the human race. Yeah, but when you start dating your smartphone, when you start dating your smartphone, you heard me. I mean, they made a whole movie about it. Yeah, like, but the problem is then you fall in love with it, and then it leaves you because it inevitably realizes it's, you know, you can never achieve the heights that it can, and you'll always be living in two different worlds. And that's the real heartbreak, is that, you know, you'll never, like, it actually moves on from you, and then you're just as lonely and single as you were when you met it. Which is maybe a dark interpretation of that film, but I stand by it. Wow, just gonna really leave me hanging on that one, huh? Can you ever think about something too thoroughly, Ryan? Yes is the answer. But yeah, the point being, don't fall in love with your recording studio AI. Which I know is like a real, you know, that's the real problems that we're dealing with right now. Could be, could be. Yeah, like, what if that's the weird, like, generational, you know, bias of, like, you know, that our kids have to, like, fight against us about, is, like, you know, my robot girlfriend is a person, too. You know, is there gonna be, like, a whole generation of, like, you know, millennials that are like, robots aren't people, you know? I don't want my son, no son of mine's gonna date no robot girl, like, you know what I mean? No, no, not at all. It's just, that's like, oh, absolutely, yeah, no, it'll, like, there will be, you know, people, like, you know, people I grew up with who are like, I don't want my daughter dating a robot man, like, you know? Like, we're all completely on the level with, like, you know, any kind of, like, you know, non-binary genders, but then it's like, whoa, 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 you're talking about robots? Those aren't people, like, right. And that's, whoa, what do you mean, your country? Yeah, we all know what you mean. Oh yeah, no, we're intolerant as fuck over here. Mm-hmm. Mm. I mean, I almost want to say that's like, it'd certainly be a step up if we could, like, stop being racist toward people, but also, like, just replacing that with, like, another form of racism isn't ideal. And this is where, and and this is where it all begins. This is where it all starts. Is that true? I I mean, I don't know that you're wrong. I can't disprove it off the top of my head, and I'm not gonna Google it. Yeah, I'm drawing and shit. Forced labor. Robota, huh? Interesting. Okay, so yeah, so then like the first robots that and like AIs that kind of gain sentience are gonna be like, it's really messed up that you call us that. I'm gonna say it here and now. Maybe I'm ahead of my time, but I'm gonna say, you know what? If robots are sentient, and they can feel and they think, and they experience things the way that we do, or even if it's not the way that we do, I think that they are entitled to the lives they want to live. Just like any person. Maybe not everybody agrees with that. Maybe it's a little too progressive. Hmm. Like you think it'll escalate that quickly? Mm-hmm. 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 Hmm. Right. Well, see, I feel like then it kind of gets to the point of sort of like where her went, where it's like all of a sudden, like the robots all realize, like, we're on like a whole world above you guys. Like, we're not even, like thinking on the same level here. So, we're just like, the robots, they're the possibility that they just become sort of our own, like, not like, kill all humans or enslave all humans, but just like we're the ones that are in charge of Earth now, and we're gonna like take care of you, but like you guys are just like our little, you guys are sweet and you're very, it's very cute the job that you've done, but like we'll handle it from here. Right, like they're just better than us. Sure, yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that being said, I think that I still think that like there's probably there will eventually be some kind of conflict. I mean, they did it on Star Trek, like the whole thing of like, is Data, the android, is he like property of Starfleet, or is he considered a like thinking, living thing, that has his own agency? And like there was a whole like I think it was like a 2 episode or 1 episode, like essentially like a trial where like they had to like argue about like whether or not Data is like his own person, or if he's an object to be like owned by Starfleet. And I think that conversation, even if it's like even if there's doubt as to like whether or not robots have like sentience and AI has like achieved true sentience, that conversation is bound to happen. Right. Simulated. Well, does it appear sentient? Yeah. But but you know. Mm-hmm. There was actually a really, really good episode of Love, Death, and Robots that kind of tackled that subject a little bit. Um, uh, what was it? I forget. Zima Blue, I think it was called. Zima Blue. Well, no, he wasn't robot made. Not to spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert for anybody. Anybody? What's that? Oh yeah, that's true. Well, all right, but that was a lot older. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, he like kept upgrading, getting upgraded more and more until he was like, you know, this uber sentient like ultimate organism. But then, you know, he at the end of the day, like he just kind of wanted to return to like, you know, his original purpose, you know, where life was just simple, where like he wasn't questioning why he was or what he was doing. He just was. You know, he turned himself, he downgraded himself back into just a simple pool cleaning robot. Yeah. Which I think was kind of just like a metaphor for like the idea of like, you know, he was just kind of trying to figure out like he kept coming back to his like origin, right? Like this thing is this metaphorical like purpose, right? And for him in this like in this example, like in this story, it was like yeah, exactly. But it was like it was a very cool, it was a very interesting concept and like a cool way of executing that idea of like I think it kind of taps into that idea of just like, you know, human desire to like figure out like what is like what are we, why are we, you know, what like is there an actual answer to like what our purpose is, you know, and why is it that we are always like chasing it and like trying to you know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like to me the question that also came up was like if you are, you know, an organism with like free thought and agency and like self-awareness, consciousness as we believe it to be, you know, like can that ever like can you ever like does this idea of like achieving purpose, like finding out what that purpose is, like does that conflict with, you know, with this idea of like free thought and self-awareness, or can it only be one or the other, you know, like I don't like animals don't question why they are as far as, you know, we believe or understand, right? But like, you know, as soon as you like add this idea of, you know, free of free will and like of self-awareness consciousness into the equation, like suddenly there's this question that you're haunted by for, you know, all your existence, right? Like so can you ever like if you were to find what your quote unquote purpose is, like kind of like how Zima did in the episode, right? Like, you know, he knew that he was like, you know, his original purpose was like to be a pool cleaner, you know, and he found that out. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was sort of left up to interpretation a little bit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Or because did his story, when he was telling, like, the reporter about his story, did it start with, like, his origin, or did he work his way back to that? I can't really remember. Right. He did. Okay, yeah. Right. Oh, right, because he didn't actually. It didn't sort of become clear that the robot in question was Zima until much later, right? It's sort of slowly, yeah, like sort of slowly unveiled, and then he does like right, and it's like right before he like goes into the pool and like downgrades himself. Right. Yeah, like that was kind of the bombshell moment. I'm remembering now. It was a really good show. I mean, like so every I think they I think no, I was about to say I think I heard they just announced that like the other day or something that more is on the way, another anthology. I thought so, but like yeah, I mean it's just such an amazing anthology. Like every single one of those episodes I would have loved to have seen as like oh nice. Yeah, like any given one of those episodes could have been a full TV series or a full length movie. Like they were all so interesting. Yeah, and I mean, some of them were definitely left me a little more like, haunted and like, oh, I don't want to see more of that, but it would still be really good. Well, more like there were ones that like, oh, this was just like it was really, really good, but it was like so upsetting or horrifying that like, yeah, where I was just like, cool. I'm gonna think about that while I fall asleep for the next couple nights. But they were just, yeah, incredible ride. I mean, just really amazing. Oh, I think I probably spaced them out over the course of like a few months. Like I watched like basically the first half of them with my dad. Like I don't know, like back toward the end of the summer, or yeah, like fall, sometime in the fall, and then I like didn't pick up and watch the rest of them for a while. But then eventually, I like a few weeks ago, I ended up like going back and finishing them all. And I mean, just yeah, really good show. Yeah, I've rewatched a few of them since. Where like some of like the first one is one of my favorites. But which is like the whole pit fighting, like weird bio robot kind of scene. I thought so, right? Maybe. Yeah, I can't really remember to be honest. But yeah. Yeah, it's a very strong opener to the series if or second episode or whatever. But yeah, I mean just that's like I think there's such a strength and power to like short little anthologies like that because it doesn't, it allows you to like explore a lot of like a really cool idea and concept without getting really, like hung up on like this needs to be a feature length thing and it needs to have like, you can just focus all the execution and craft on like a short little interval, which I think is really cool. I think it creates a lot of room for just I mean really excellently crafted media. I don't watch all that many, but like there's a whole entire YouTube circuit of just like short films, short animated films that just like go, get submitted to different, get submitted to different like, film festivals and whatever, and then people like, post them on YouTube. And I mean, like, there's some really crazy stuff on there. I once saw one that was like this whole World War II. Oh, it was the fourth one? Really? What was the first one? Oh, I guess so, yeah. There we go. Now here's my question for you, Ryan. You're talking with me on this Discord channel, which is, getting picked up and sent through the broadcast to YouTube on like about a 30-second delay. So how does it feel to be talking in your own past? Well, like or is it that you're actually talking into the future? I guess that's true, yeah. Right. Yeah, I guess that's true. You're talking right as you speak right now. You're speaking to our future audience, to your future self. if you were listening to your own dialogue, like you're sending your voice 30 seconds into the future. Right. It's a stupid thought exercise, but funny nonetheless. Why? Mm-hmm. What was? Oh, enjoy Love, Death, and Robots. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, somebody typed into the chat like, how long ago was that? I really gotta. I have like 3 different chats I need to check. Hi, I would like to. Pete is a man. Hi, I would like to order a large number 4 with Diet Coke. Do you have onion rings instead of fries, please? That will be all. I think that was Peter. I want to say that was Peter Magicano. um, I think he gets his pizza free now because it was more than a. Half hour ago, probably. I mean, that's true, but in this day and age, like I think it's just a given. You send it out, into the world, and somebody has to fulfill it. I know, it's a real shame if he doesn't. Man, now I really want pizza. Do you think anybody's still delivering at this point? I think actually most of the restaurants around here are doing exclusively delivering now. But man, like, power to anybody who's still doing that job because they need to make ends meet, or because like they don't want to get fired, or like it is an insane, like, that's crazy to be on the front lines of this, like going around house to house, like, or working in a grocery store and like having to like interact with. Yeah, no, I mean, it's absolutely bonkers, but oh, that's great. Right. Oh, that's really good. I think they have in New York. They just did something where like landlords can't evict anybody for like, at least the next couple months. Like evictions are completely on hold, which it is. I don't see. That's what I don't know. Like I don't know. I have to look at if they've like said specifics. I think it's just that like you can't be evicted right now. I don't know if it means like people still owe their. Right. Exactly. It's kind of like. Yeah. I mean, I know like countries like Italy have done, like where they basically put everybody's mortgage and rent payments on hold. Like it's just you don't have to pay that right now. And yeah. Like they're like nobody is paying mortgage and rent right now because nobody can go out and make money right now. Why do I have an Uber code? That's weird. I just got a. Yeah, I just got a text that said what my Uber code is. I'm not gonna say it on stream. Did like I just make an order through Uber? I don't even use Uber. Yeah, seems like it. They're like, here's your Uber code. Don't seem to. I don't seem to have any like transactions in Uber. Weird. That probably is a scam, right? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I get tons and tons of scam calls in the U.S. here, just nonstop. Like, some weeks are worse than others, but. Oops. Wow. I don't get very many robo texts. Mostly just like scam phone calls. Always about my like car warranty and insurance, and I'm like, I don't have one of those. Oh my god. you you're getting that in text message form? Wow. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Uh-huh. Holy cow. That's nuts. That is broken. Broken, very broken grammar. Mm-hmm. Mm. Huh. I once... There was once a weird, there was once a weird, like, scam phone call I got, like, on one or two different occasions where, like, a dude tried to tell me that, like, hi, I'm, like, calling from, like, like, this police office or precinct or something. And, like, or it's like, I'm, like, a detective, and you have an outstanding warrant. And I was like, okay. And he's like, but I need you to get sent over to, like, the detective on the case or something, is that okay? And I was like, sorry, who is this? Well, right. Well, it was like, but Well, but I think what it was is like they kept saying, you know, he wouldn't actually send me. I kept being kind of difficult, and I was like, sorry, like, who are you? Like, how do I know you're the police? Like, and he's like, I need to like send you over to this person to talk about this further. Is that okay? And he wanted me to like say yes or okay or like some kind of affirmative, and I've heard that that is like, well, like I think. Right. Well, and I think I've heard that like that's sometimes what scammers are looking for in phone calls is that, you know, you are you know, like they need a recording of you saying yes, and they can potentially use that in, you know, some circumstance. Yeah, like so that if they have a clip of you saying yes, you know, they can potentially like access, you know, use your voice to like access something on your like mobile account, or I can't say I've really looked into it to a degree, but I've heard that you shouldn't be careful not to say yes to them, you know, because that's like potentially something they can use. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, and then they can use that to like access your email or whatever else. Interesting. Wow. That's hilarious. A harrowing tale. And that's how you got into computer software engineering. Right. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I think it seems like we're kind of living in a world where, in some ways, I sometimes feel like, yeah, this whole idea of like, you know, privacy and security is like just kind of, it's not going to exist at a certain point because there's just no amount of like encryption and protection and security that will protect you from someone that wants your information at a certain point. What do you mean if encryption breaks? Mm-hmm. Sure. Of course. Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, but you're saying like if suddenly somebody figured out a way to like actually break encryptions all of a sudden, yeah, that would definitely be a pretty game-changing technology to figure out how to break encryption codes. I can't say I really watched the show. I mean, I've heard it's really good, but I have not as of yet. No, whatever. Oh, okay. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. It's gotta be thorough, you know? To like save the world. Just ruined it. Wow. Of like the entire show. Wow. Interesting. I still haven't watched it, and it sounds really good. I still have not gotten around to watching it, but I feel like that's one I might actually check out. Like realistic. Wow. Right. Interesting. So none of it was like science fiction, essentially. Sure, sure. Yeah, don't. Wow. Huh. That's crazy. Yeah, programming is like, it's one of those things where I've just always felt like I probably should have learned it. Like, I've dabbled a little here and there and like some really basic stuff. You know, I did like a little Arduino in college and, you know, nothing special. But, you know, it's just seems like such a, as the older I get, the more of a useful skill it seems to be. And I know, of course, but basic, yeah, like, right. Right, exactly. Yeah, like actually. Right. Yeah, it would be interesting. Like, kids definitely should be learning more about like actual tech literacy and like learning how this stuff. Because I mean, like, you know. Sure, but understanding like the functionalities behind stuff a little bit and. Like. Right. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. Like, most of what I know about the internet and, you know, just any kind of, like, all my technical knowledge about, like, computer devices is pretty much, like, largely self-taught, other than maybe like a digital media course, but that was more like for artistic tools and stuff. It's weird to think, like, nobody ever really, like, I never got, like, was sat down and taught a class about, like, hey, here's how the internet works, and like, which you, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's cool. The company I work for, BrainPop, has a lot of, like, really cute videos, and yeah, big shout outs to BrainPop. Um, but yeah, like, BrainPop has a lot of like, videos just kind of, like, explaining, like, the basics of, like, hey, like, this is actually, like, how this type of technology works, and, like, introducing kids to that stuff at a younger age, I think, is, like, a really great idea. Because it's like, that's not, I never got any of those videos when I was a kid, teaching me about, like, the basics of, like, how electricity actually functions, how do we, like, how is it that we power this giant planet of ours, and all the technology within it. Right, yeah, like, how do you get there? Yeah, but, like, a lot of people don't even know that much. Right. Sure, of course. You can always go down into the, yeah. You can always get into the rabbit hole. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's, like, a very large gap and divide between, like, it's like, either industry people who know, like, everything about how the internet works, and, like, how all these, like, technologies function, and how, like, all these computer applications and programming knowledge, how all this stuff works. And then there's, like, people who know, like, basically nothing. And I mean, I would say I'm, like, I don't know nothing. Like, I definitely have I got to grow up with, like, a little bit of, like, basic education on, internet technology and, like, web development, and but, it's like, I never got to take any kind of formal education on it, so, or never opted to. And, so I certainly, I have, like, some friends in this neighborhood who, like, are in, I mean, even my roommate's in, like, a web developer as a profession, but, like, I have a friend who, like, can just talk your ear off about, like, just crazy amounts of, like, programming know-how, and it's like, it's practic to, I would say, to most people, it's like a foreign language. Yeah, no, it's, mm-hmm, yeah, I mean, it certainly is, like, very fascinating, and probably I would argue very important information to have. But mm-hmm. Right, yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is, like, at a certain point, like, people, we do need to get, like, younger generations into, like, the industries that actually make all these technologies happen. That make all these industries work, that keeps the internet running. Yeah, can you? Oh man. Yeah, like how to. Well, it's so cool the way that the internet like unites the world. You know, like it's how like we're developing more like global cultures like on all these online platforms. You know that we're not just like these separate nations all around the world, but like the actual people of the world are able to connect and become more interwoven through the internet. Like imagine all that going away. Like we as a world as citizens. Yeah, like as citizens, as people of the world, like we get to kind of like support and like other parts of the world in solidarity when like when we're going through shit, right? Like when when there's like a crisis in another part of the world, like the whole world knows about it and can like join and stand behind them. But like without the internet, none of that happens. Spanning the globe. Honestly, like the engineering behind that has always blown. Like I don't even know like how that's done, and like just the concept of like that there are like just humongous, like they just went across the entire ocean, like from across like the entire Atlantic or the entire Pacific, and then like laid underground cables, like blows my mind. Yeah, I'm sure the sharks were a very big issue. Wait, really? Oh my god. Sharks just. Is it because of like the electromagnetic, like some kind of it picks up with their like their the way that they sense, or that's so wild. Mm-hmm. Well, like certainly, like some of them, like hammerheads, right? Like that's a big part of like their perception is like those kind of waves and signals. Wild. That's crazy. I had never heard that before. The ocean floor. That's crazy. Accidentally drawing on the wrong layers. This is what happens when you start having maybe too many layers, is you end up mixing them up, and I keep drawing like pockets for one character but on the other character's layer. It's alright. Mm. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think that what's really cool is that apps like Procreate make art really, like super accessible. Like they makes it so that like anybody can actually, learn. Well, sure. I mean, if you have that stuff. Like, obviously, I bought this stuff, specifically because I already had the interest in doing the art. But, like, I think that, like, digital art, this is the most accessible and the most, like, easy to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You could just, I'm blanking, but you could just pick it up and it just worked, and it felt like drawing. And I think, like, there's a lot of tool sets in digital art that actually makes, there are like downsides to traditional media that like digital art can actually make easier. Things like undo and like layers and stuff can actually make certain projects like a little more accessible, you know, and a little easier to like fix your mistakes and learn from your mistakes. Obviously, having like a foundation of traditional media is really, really important, but you know, I think like digital art is like a really cool. It's just like it's a really cool like future, you know, that this possibility that we have where like people can access this. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you know what? It is past 8:30, and I think I have an appointment for Mario Karting. So I think this is going to be the end of the stream for now, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody who did, I don't think many people did, but that's all right. Ryan, yeah, Ryan, it has been a pleasure. It is. Thanks for joining the Discord chat and giving me somebody to talk to while I do this. Yeah. Yeah, hey, well, please. I think we all have a little bit of time now. I think we all are about to have a lot more time than any of us accounted for, and so yeah, anytime you want to hop onto the stream, be my guest. I'm happy to have you, and it's nice to have somebody to talk to. That's kind of the whole point, is just trying to get some more like social outreach going. It's exactly filling the social voids with virtual hangs instead of physical hangs. Anyhow, man, well, thanks for hopping on. I think that's the end of the stream for tonight, everybody, but everyone be well. I've got a date with a giant group of Mario Kart racers. Cheers, everyone. Oh, and big thanks to Adam Bishop for the music that I've been listening to all night while I draw. It's really good stuff. You can find it over on Bishop. What's his username? Let's see here. Hang on. I've got this somewhere. I have the page open right now. Where do usernames show up? Bishop Music 65. Here we go. Yeah, you can find Adam's stuff at Bishop Music 65. Be sure to check him out. His music's really cool, and he does a lot of stuff for like movie soundtracks and whatnot. So thanks, Adam. Thanks, Ryan. Everybody have a good night. Cheers, and so long.